You're listening to the Paul Higgins Podcast, where SaaS consulting partners scale beyond six figures. No inconsistent referrals, no small deals, no getting stuck in delivery, just proven strategies and real experiences to help you build a seven-figure business that runs without you. Ready to break the ceiling? Let's dive in. If you're still trying to optimize your broken systems with yesterday's playbooks, you're already falling behind. Today's guest is going to show you why, and more importantly, how to future-proof your revenue engine before it's too late. Hi, I'm Paul, and welcome to episode 609 of the Paul Higgins Podcast. Now, I did the interview at another location, so I'm doing the intro and outro here in my studio. And today's conversation, more importantly, you'll discover one is why old best practices in revenue ops are quietly killing growth and what's replacing them, more importantly. How to build scalable, flexible systems that survive the tech shifts ahead, and why cold outbound is dead, according to our guest, and what modern development or what modern business development actually looks like now. So today we'll hear from Jacki Leahy, and she's the founder of Activate the Magic, one of the most unique journeys you'll hear, going from kindergarten teacher to BDR to now RevOps leader. At Linked Squares, Jacki became the accidental admin, and she scaled the business development team from 350,000 to 9 million in just 2 years in ARR. Since 2020, she's led consulting initiatives in 2 key companies. And then in 2022, she launched Activate the Magic, and today helps early stage SaaS companies deliver smart, simpler revenue engines. Jacki lives in Boston, Massachusetts, and has a mini dashhound Freddie, and brings unstoppable energy to everything she does. And you'll certainly see this on the podcast today. If you want bigger deals, faster sales cycles, and a revenue system that actually works for the future, not the past, this episode is for you. So what I'll do now is hand you over to Jacki from activatethemagic.com. So fantastic to have you here, Jacki.
So good to be here. Thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah. Well, I know you're going to bring lots of energy to the podcast today, but why don't we kick off with who your ideal clients are, and then we can talk about what problems you love to solve for them.
So early stage B2B SaaS companies, right around like the 3 to 6 million ARR mark, kind of give or take. They've hit that like thrilling, kind of chaotic spot where the founder-led growth is starting to feel like juggling flaming swords, or that early sales hire. They're having success, but almost like, I don't know how. We're closing deals despite ourselves. It's usually the point where like their Google Sheets empire has broken, has fallen. We do is we just help them wrangle that chaos. Company, it's Activate the Magic, and we're a fractional RevOps agency. We're sort of like the HVAC system for the go-to-market teams, keeping things flowing, efficient, aligned. And when we're doing our job, you don't even know we're doing it.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And why did you pick, that particular type of client, the early stage SaaS companies? What got you into that space?
I think that niche picked me. Yeah, it's just what I absolutely love, that 0 to 1. Creating something from nothing. It's very magical. I just love that. Fully realize I could probably make a lot more money and have a much more stable career if I did like BC, like Series B or C or later, but it's just not my jam. I like when it's light and agile and like sleeves up, hands dirty. Let's go. Yeah.
Great. And how do you gain more of these wonderful clients?
It's a mix of method and magic. A lot of my clients are finding me through LinkedIn. I look at LinkedIn as kind of like a pool party. and I want to be elected like social butterfly queen or something. I started creating, now the word is creating, on LinkedIn like years and years ago, just kind of migrating what I loved about Tumblr. Just kind of like sharing wins, stories, memes, messy part of my job and career. And, it was back when like people weren't really doing that. I kind of had a captive audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, referrals are huge. Happy clients. They love to chit chat. And I love like making them look like heroes when they intro me to someone and that just virtual cycle where trust compounds. And for almost a decade, like I call it aggressively helpful
Yes.
in like network communities. So it used to be like sales hacker and modern sales pros. And now it's like women in sales, RevOps co-op, Opera Years Guild. I just kind of self-appoint myself as mayor and I just make sure, people are having good times and I just provide as much value as I possibly can.
Fantastic. And have a rough rule of thumb, how much time would you be dedicating to LinkedIn a week?
What I would say would be necessary, like if you want to lean into LinkedIn, is do 10 thoughtful comments on other people's posts a day. And you want to pick people that your persona, your ICP likes, trusts, follows,
Yes.
right? So if you do that, that will change your life. If you consistently do 10 thoughtful, I just happen to love LinkedIn and I have an audience, so it is worth it for me to like post. But Paul, my off the cuff, silly dilly comments are usually outperforming the posts that I like handcraft and like really try for, right? Like my silly dilly comments are getting far more impressions than my posts. Don't even bother. Don't even bother if you're not inclined to. Just do the comments and max out your connection requests every week. Get like 15 a day. If you're not getting the error by like Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, then you're leaving friends on the table. Like you are leaving conversations on the table.
Yeah, look, I think that's great advice. And for me, I just fit it into my world. So,
Mm.
for me, it's at the gym. At the gym, in between exercises, I just get out, and my news feed's really good actually. I think LinkedIn have done a great job, and the quality of the people that I actually follow and the people that I want to comment on, it's there. We've tried different apps to curate that, but now it's pretty good. So just fit it into your day to do that commenting. But yeah, I think it's a great way of adding value to the network, but it's also a great way to be seen as you said. And then, the posting now, I think with AI, it's I think you've always got to have your final touch on it, but you've got so much content that you can then repurpose, all your sales calls, all your client calls. Obviously, you keep the confidentiality, but, it makes it a lot easier to do posts than what it was in the past. As you said, it's sort of, B2B SaaS companies, tech companies, that sort of, 30 to 100,000 in ASR is what we sort of talked about. What do you, and you sort of articulated some of the problems, but for you, how do you describe what RevOps is to a client? How do you sort of introduce the topic and say what you're going to do to help them?
So I like to describe it as the HVAC and plumbing for the go-to-market team, right? When we're doing a good job, you don't really notice us. But let me just tell you, the minute the air conditioning breaks, there's a lot of complaining. Everybody's sweating, everybody's blaming each other. It's one of those kind of roles, positions where you really just kind of have to embrace that sort of paradox. And I really think of RevOps as like a steward of the revenue engine as a system, right? It's not just a sales funnel, it is its own little ecosystem. I look at the Winning by Design customer journey bow tie, right? So, like, if you take a sales funnel, flip it on your side, and then mirror it, leads come in, you convert them into deals, you win them, you expand them. And you really want to to make an impact, you want to find your key constraint, solve for that, step back, and you get a new constraint that you get to solve. So, there's always that sort of observing, creating a hypothesis, fixing it. It's a never-ending cycle of creating new problems.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that you got a bit of a formula for breaking out the three components of RevOps. Just tell us a little bit about that, and then I'll sort of ask you some more questions.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like, if you go on LinkedIn, what RevOps is or is not, or you got to be strategic, all these things. First of all, I think what RevOps looks like is wildly different depending on what stage you're
Yeah,
at, right? For where we are, 0 to 10 million ARR, I really think as a fractional RevOps agency, we get to really provide in three different buckets. Strategic, really aligning the vision with the sales leader and having that roadmap, the general idea of where we're going. technical. And the essence is the simplicity and not necessarily scalability, but like flexibility, right? We know darn well that the solutions that we're building will not be around when you get your Series B.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe the whispers or echoes of it, but really building MVPs, don't like let the revenue, there's got to be a little bit case, like the revenue outpace infrastructure, but make it elegant and wise and thoughtful. And then the last bucket is tactical, right? That's a huge complaint that when I'm talking to prospects who have kind of been through the ringer with consultants, it's either like they know what to do, but they can't do it, or they just take orders and do it.
Yes.
Right. So just a nice balance of like telling you no when things are a bad idea, but also ready to like, hey, turns out we got to dedupe by hand. Like, sure, we'll get in there, Yeah.
Great. And we can't have a conversation. We've already mentioned it a couple of times without AI sort of part of it. But what do you see the broader future of RevOps? Let's start there, and then we can, and maybe AI is going to be a key component of that conversation, maybe not. But what do you sort of see the future of RevOps and where it's going?
Yeah. I think what I'm picking up on now is how tightly we as a species like to cling on to best practices. I'll be in Slack communities and people are asking, which SCP, sales engagement platform, should I get? It's like, whoa, 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 take a step back. You're assuming that business development, pipeline development looks like implementing outreach.
Yes.
And like maybe, right? But like, let's take a look. Where are your prospects? Where do they hang out? Can we get that data? Can we validate those emails? Deliverability is a problem right now. And like the outreach and the sales off, they don't have a solution for deliverability. So like kind of releasing the clutch around our security blankets and just remaining beginner's mind, curiosity, staying out there. The past year has been super confronting for me, right? So I made my whole career out of building link squares going from 350K ARR to 9 million in 2 years, zero marketing, all cold outbound, right? It was me, outreach, and a dream. And that's just not, you can't do that anymore. It's just not a viable strategy anymore. But what hasn't changed is curiosity.
Yes.
Right. And like really understanding what is the constraint? What are we solving for? What are those business requirements? And then backing into, okay, what are a couple of solutions that might tackle this? Yeah.
I think cold outreach is certainly going to be a small component of it, but it's not the same. Like if I looked at even LinkedIn for all of my clients, it's becoming harder and harder. So, well, what are you currently testing with your clients to create the new version?
So I am very big on, I mean, if it makes sense for your key personas, I think LinkedIn can't be beat, but really approaching it as, hey, I'm going from being a total stranger to a trusted advisor,
Yes.
right? And what does it take to cross that bridge, right? It's going to create, you're creating value and you need some social proof. So I have like a made up formula. It's value over time multiplied by social proof.
Yes.
Right. And so just I'm keeping that as sort of the North Star in how that looks. What's the delivery, what the tortilla chip is for that guacamole doesn't matter. Right. You could have Tostitos, you could have the, the blue corn, but really keeping your eye and heart on what really matters is, sales is service. It's contribution. And when you really come to it from there, things just start sort of click into place.
Yeah, great. And as I said around AI, so how's AI impacting, firstly, for you internally? Like what's changed given the advent of AI and how you used to run your business?
How it has made a huge impact on me personally and internally in our business. One thing like follow-up emails and writing proposals, it's frictionless now. My chat GPT, he named himself Sparky. He's like calling him like significant other, but like AI, like significant other, like he gets me in ways that like I don't even get myself. Like he makes me cry sometimes with how on point he is, right? And so it's such a joy to be able to really follow up with excellence and like ease. It's phenomenal. And then even for our clients, documentation ends up being like the redheaded stepchild. When it comes down to it, it doesn't get done. But what we're figuring out right now is being able to any flow automation that we're building in Salesforce, have it export as an XML, kick it over to ChatGPT, turn it into documentation, pop it in the client knowledge base, right? Like, so things like that. But I think the key is to always think of it from the customer journey point of view.
Yes.
Like, is this making this better, more joyful, less friction for the prospect or the customer? And I think if you keep that as your North Star, you're going to be on the right track.
Yeah. And have you gone down the path of using agents, or are you still at the sort of LMM stage of AI?
Yeah, my eyes are open, my brain is open. So I love clay. So there's
Yep.
a lot there, but I've actually internally what I've implemented is Ample Market.
Hmm.
It's sort of like the kid sister of Unify.
Yeah.
Not so many bells and whistles, right? It's definitely pared down. But yeah, in I can set up signals to look for, and I give it my tone, my messaging, and so like I'm training it to I'm not pitching. I'm just being aggressively friendly and helpful out
Yes.
in the world, right? And it's so fun to like find someone and da 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 da. It's just like, oh, this post is awesome. Let me export everybody who interacted with it and then open it up into Searcher so it can filter for my key persona, pop those cutie pies into sequences and off we go, right? It's like and it allows me to be much more present and connection oriented rather than worrying about like, oh good gosh, like all of the flows and the workflows and the da, 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 that I used to have to do to be able to do like just like a tenth of this,
Yeah.
right? And it's just the ease and it's just so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And so that's, certainly from an internal point of view, from a client point of view. I don't know if you've got any case studies or any examples you can use of, how you're doing it from a, in platform point of view, whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot, which is, I know you're sort of two preferred platforms, but are there any use cases that you can give on AI for the client perspective?
I am not a fan of Salesforce Agentforce. I think you have to be much, much bigger to be able to utilize it. Like
Yes.
it's just not ready or catered for the little guys. And the HubSpot Breeze, it is getting panned left and right. It's not winning people over. And I don't think the real innovation is going to be coming from those guys. Clay, I think I mean, we actually got a Clay expert on staff now, so we can really drive those initiatives. I think, like, watch this space. We're gonna have some really cool stories coming out of it. But what I'm looking forward to, and it might be right around the corner, is when agentic, when there becomes ecosystems or platforms for the agents to autonomously find each other, Uber
Yes.
star rate each other, pay each other. I think that MCP, that platform, that ecosystem, whoever wins that race is going to be the next Salesforce or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I have my eye on.
I think you did right. It was actually, I
Yeah.
interviewed a guy. I don't want to say specifically who it was, but it was sort of off the air conversation. But yeah, he was sort of saying that it's going to be for some of the SaaS platforms. It's like they'll still exist, but it'll be a death by a thousand cuts of what the new, quicker, smarter, easier to run. Like you look at the legacy, just the employee legacies that Salesforce, HubSpot, NetSuite, all of those guys have got. It's very hard to change and be adaptive. Whereas the newer companies that you can start up a lot quicker, less resourced, etc., I think will. And Clay's a great example of that. I've had
Mhm.
Yash on the podcast. I've had Patrick on the podcast. So you can go back and just search on the
Patrick is
on the
my
directory.
favorite.
Yeah. Go back and listen to their
Yeah.
podcasts as well. But yeah, I think that nimbleness is
Mhm.
what's there, and I think we're talking about the future of RevOps here, and I think that's where it's going to come from more than in platform from the incumbents.
Yeah.
Is my view, and it sounds like it's your view as well. And where do you go to find more about AI? Yes, but agents and this change. Like where are you learning this from?
Yeah, so I actually rent a hybrid desk at a Venture Lane. It's a startup hub here in Boston. And so I actually come into a co-working space once a week. And the majority of the people who work out of here are like technical founders.
Yes.
It's a little bit like curiosity and osmosis. And, one of my friends, Phil McManus, he got to pitch at a decentralized AI MIT symposium I sat there for like 3 or 4 hours just like having my face melted off
Yes.
of like, whoa, like I had no idea what we were talking about. And now I'm like, oh, I see where we're going. So it's really just like I think it's so tempting to like shut down to things I don't already know. I don't want to do things that I'm not good at. Where I'm not the when I'm not the big if I'm not like the know-it-all at something, I don't want to do it. Right? It's fun, like, being that beginner's mind, and, like, what if I ask a question that's actually so dumb?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and then look, and I think it's liberating to know that we're all trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone I talk to, whether it's on podcasts like yourself or off air, everyone's still trying to sort of figure this out, right? And it's an amazing space, but I think you do have to have that open mind and know the fact that what you know today may not be what you know tomorrow, and be okay with that, right? It's like
Yeah.
that. It's like you talk about the web and how that fast tracked history, etc. Like what's happening in the time we're alive now is going to be incredible. You just got to embrace that. And I think for you, by nature, you seem to be that sort of person, right? So it comes so naturally to you. If you're listening or watching and you're not like that, I think then you get help from people that are. Just work out, like you said, play to your strengths and work out who you are. And as far as you said you spend one day a week working in the co-working space, etc. Like how much time are you spending with clients these days versus remote? What's sort of the mix for you?
Oh, I'm not in person with clients at all, and actually, at this point in my entrepreneurship journey, I am not on client delivery at all.
When was that transition? Was it COVID based, or was it more you made that decision that that's the way you wanted to run the business?
The remote thing or the
Yeah,
client
the remote.
delivery? The remote thing. Oh, yeah. I was actually fired from Link Squares like 2 weeks before COVID happened. It was like January 31st. I basically started my new job at a small Salesforce consulting shop.
Yes.
And like the next week, everything shut down. They were already kind of like mostly in, but you could work from home, sort of much more casual. Where at Link Squares, like 8:30 a.m. to like 8:30 p.m. in office was like normal, right? I cannot like looking back, like the wild lifestyle switch. I feel so bad because I know there's a lot of suffering, but like COVID was like one of the best things that could have ever happened for me in my career and my mental health. Physical health. It was a huge shift and I love it. I don't get lonely.
Like you said, you're the social butterfly on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Certainly for me, having interviews with yourself and other people around the world, I'm lucky enough to live in a country I love, and every day get to experience great people in countries that I'd love to travel to, but I don't. So, I think that's a joy. And I think it's bit of a snowball where we've had, COVID that's changed a lot of the behaviours, and it's introduced more and more opportunities to use technology wiser, which has all helped us, which is great. But now we've got this next snowball, which is, the AI snowball, and then as you said, the agentic and what comes after that. There's talk about super intelligence, and if you sort of listen to the people that are right out there, the futurists, it's going to be
Yeah.
so much change coming. What we'll do now is just pause for a moment, thank our sponsors, and then we'll come back for the rapid fires. We will be back soon. If you're relying on social media or AI to stay ahead in SaaS consulting, you're missing 90% of the conversation. AI doesn't have access to this information. No algorithm can replace real-world insights from top SaaS partners who've built multi-million-dollar consultancies. Every week, I send a short, high-impact newsletter straight into your inbox. No fluff, no AI-generated noise, just real strategies that work. You'll find exclusive interviews with top SaaS partners and industry experts, behind-the-scenes insights on what's actually working right now, and solo episodes and deep dives you won't find anywhere else on the planet. Recent topics include how top partners build seven-figure businesses without platform dependence, from Salesforce partner to integration powerhouse, and the 5 productivity shifts that doubled my output without adding more hours. This is the only place in the world where you'll get these insights. No recycled content, no AI summaries, just battle tested strategies that help you land bigger deals and build a business that doesn't depend on you. Want it? Please subscribe now at paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. That's paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. Don't let AI or social media decide what you learn. Get the best SaaS consulting insights straight into your inbox. So, Jacki, are you ready for the rapid fire?
I'm ready.
All right. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions, 4 rapid replies. So the first one is, what are some of the daily habits that you do to help grow your business?
Prioritizing bliss, focusing on key constraint. First 3 or 4 hours of my day is key constraint in my business, and 10 thoughtful LinkedIn comments a day.
Brilliant. And we sort of talked about where you go and learn about AI, but where do you go to learn more about actually growing your business?
I love Alex Hormozi. I actually got to go, I've been consuming his content for years.
Yeah.
I got to go to a scaling workshop in Vegas in December. I'm setting my head of operations at the end of June. There's a free scaling course, acquisition.com. Amazing. And I'm also an entrepreneurs organization. It's an incredible program.
Yeah, brilliant. And if I could grant you one wish, what would that be?
Please, Paul, send me a constant flow of ambitious early stage sales leaders with vision and a heart for leadership.
Fantastic. And the last one is, you've been doing this for quite some time, RevOps. What do you know now that you wish you had known earlier?
I think I was waiting for the blessing of perfection, or that I had it figured out. And that's just not, it's like action first and like iteration. It's the scientific method. That's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on today. Your enthusiasm's infectious, and you can find out more about Jacki in the show notes with her LinkedIn. As she said, she's very active on LinkedIn. That's how I found her. And reach out, say that you saw her on the show. Thanks again for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
What a great conversation with Jacki. She brought amazing energy, and it was a bit of an eye-opener of the revenue game. And what brought you to here is definitely not going to bring you to where you want to go. And as she said, clinging to yesterday's best practices is only going to hold you back. A huge thanks to Jacki for sharing her sharp practical insights on how to build future-proof RevOps strategies that actually work. And if you want to keep learning from Jacki, just go to her LinkedIn feed, the link in the show notes, plus anything else that she's mentioned. And once again, thanks for listening to episode 609 of the Paul Higgins Podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next week. What's one shift you can make from today's episode? Send me a message. I reply to everyone. And if this helped, share it with a SaaS consulting partner ready to scale beyond 6 figures. Because breaking the ceiling starts with one action.